to step aside as pressure mounted for his resignation. We'll have a live report and reaction from the House Majority Leader. We'll go live via Newstar to Chicago, where candidates in the race for president are campaigning heavily to win the primary there. And we'll take you to a national championship that's right in town, where the stone and the broom are king. We'll have those stories, much more, coming up next on The Update.
From the Northland Ford Quality Showcase.
This tough Durliner box liner protects your truck from dents and scratches. Makes it worth more at resale time. Now when you purchase any new Ford truck, you can get this $329 Duraliner for only $119. With special packages, you save over $2,600 on the truck, over $200 on the liner. It all adds up to a great time to see your Northland Ford dealer.
Convenience stores are popping up everywhere, and they all seem to be alike, small and limited, except one, Tom Thumb. Tom Thumb has more than other convenience stores, so you can pick up almost anything. How does that make the other guys feel? Downright embarrassed.
Get Kemp's ice cream for just $1.99, Tony's pizza $1.59, and Oreo cookies, big stuff and double stuff, all $1.99 this week at Tom Thumb.
I'm Bob Bruce, and coming up this week on Twin Cities Live on Monday, can you really make your dreams come true? We'll find out the power of positive thinking. Tuesday, the allure of 976 phone numbers. Wednesday, is there life after menopause? On Thursday, we'll have a special celebration of St. Patrick's Day. And on Friday, Christine Kraft and others tell why they feel they suffered because of their appearance. That's all this week on Twin Cities Live, weekday mornings at 9 on Channel 5.
KSTP, Minnesota's News Channel 5.
Live from Minnesota's News Channel, KSTP Channel 5. Mike Binkley, Karen Falloon, and Mark Stevens bring you Eyewitness News.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Stan Turner, in tonight for Mike Binkley. At the top of the news this Sunday night, University of Minnesota President Ken Keller has just resigned. That announcement came just 20 minutes ago from Keller at the University of Minnesota. Our reporter Catherine Smith was there at the time. She joins us live right now with the details. Kate?
Stan, the rumors all ended in this room just a few minutes ago, as you said. Ken Keller said in the wake of all the controversy surrounding the remodeling of the presidential residence East Cliff, he decided it was time to bow out. In fact, it was in this same room just a couple of days ago that Ken Keller said he wasn't ready to leave the university, but tonight that story changed.
I've said recently that I thought I could learn from the mistakes of East Cliff. I could improve the management of the university where it's needed, and we could get on with the important job of completing commitment to focus. I also said that if I felt my presence would hurt more than help in accomplishing that task, I'd step aside. As painful as it is for me to say, I now believe that to be the case. And I'm informing the Board of Regents this evening that I'm prepared to step aside as president as soon as they can arrange for an interim replacement.
Keller went on to say he hopes the goals he's set for the university with his Commitment to Focus program will not be forgotten in the wake of the East Cliff scandal.
What makes me most unhappy is that this very bad story has completely taken attention away from a very good story. The university's attempt to focus its activities, to build its academic strengths, and to work cooperatively with the rest of higher education to provide Minnesotans with opportunity, with choice, and with quality in post-secondary education.
As I said, it was just a couple of days ago in this Board of Regents meeting room where Ken Keller said he had no intention of stepping down. There was pressure at that meeting on Friday. Regent Dave Rowe did everything but ask Ken Keller to step down, and at that point, Mr. Keller said he would not. He went on into the weekend insisting he was not going to step down. It's really been 2 or 3 weeks full of controversy for President Ken Keller. Since the East Cliff scandal broke and the overspending at the presidential residence, there have been barrages of questions about spending and management practices in general here at the university. That made several of the Board of Regents very unhappy. They've been very vocal about that. But it's not only the Board of Regents' trust that Ken Keller seems to have lost in all of this, it's also state legislators' trust, and that's very important because this university needs a lot of state funding to continue the Commitment to Focus program that has begun here. Stan, I think you have someone who has some comments about that back at the station, so I'll send it back to you.
All right, Kate, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, we did wonder what lawmakers would be thinking tonight in light of Mr. Keller's announcement, so we asked Ann Wynia, the House Majority Leader, to join us in our newsroom tonight. Thank you very much, Representative Wynia, for being with us. First of all, what do you think? Was legislative support eroding for Keller at this point?
I think the situation had really deteriorated over the last week, particularly with the release of the audits on Wednesday and Thursday. A lot more questions were being raised, and I guess the level of criticism seemed to be getting more severe.
What about the Board of Regents? They had an opportunity last Friday to ask for his resignation. They knew the pressure had been mounting. Do you think they should have taken more decisive action at that time?
I think many of us were expecting more decisive indication as to what plans they had to restore both public and legislative confidence in the university. And the steps that were taken on Friday that appeared to fall a little bit short of that, kind of throwing it back into the legislature's lap, were really not what we were looking for. We wanted some kind of an indication that the regents were going to go forward, that the situation was under control, and that we could begin to devote our attention to the university.
Representative Wynia, what happens now to Dr. Keller's Commitment to Focus plan? Obviously, it's of his making. Among other things, it wants to cut the enrollment and upgrade the academic standing over there. What happens to it now? Does it go with him, or do you think it'll survive?
I think Commitment to Focus still has great potential. If it's a good idea, if it's a good program, clearly the loss of one person doesn't mean the end of that idea. There are a number of people in the university who have worked on it, and I believe that if the regents embrace it as a vision of the university that they truly believe in, and if they're willing to help carry that message, I think it still has potential to get funding in the legislature.
All right, thank you very much for your comments tonight. House DFL Majority Leader Ann Wynia. Well, another member of the legislature, a chairman actually of a key committee, the House Higher Education Committee, Mike Jaros, said earlier this weekend, that he thought Keller should go. We asked him for his reaction tonight now that Keller has in fact announced his resignation.
Well, just because the president is leaving doesn't mean that it changes the system. I would hope that the Board of Regents would look at my proposal and the proposal from the 1972 Legislative Commission that studied the university and change the governance, change the system.
Those remarks tonight from Mike Jaros, the chairman of the House Higher Education Committee. Of course, we'll have more on the effects of Ken Keller's resignation, an announcement tomorrow on Eyewitness News. And there's no doubt about it, as we said before, there'll be lots of controversy in the wake of this now. A search committee, of course, will be appointed by the U of M Board of Regents to find a successor to Dr. Keller. Well, coming up next on the update, a weather forecast with a gray tinge to it. That'll be coming to us from Karen Falloon.
Thank you, Stan. Yes, we will have mostly gray over the next couple of days, but slowly warming, and I'll have all the details. Ed?
And in sports, we'll take a look at who some of the 64 teams are in this year's NCAA tournament.
And when we come back, the political spotlight moves to Illinois. Its presidential primary just could be the election that makes or breaks a few candidates. We'll have a live News Star report for you, and we'll tell you what dual avalanches did to a European ski resort. So please stay with us.
Of all the cars that come out each year, only one can be the Motor Trend Car of the Year. For 1988, that one is this one, the hot new Pontiac Grand Prix. Get on your Pontiac and ride, Pontiac ride! The new Grand Prix, Motor Trend's Car of the Year. You've got to drive it. Get on your Pontiac! We build excitement.
Are you into feeling good? Then treat yourself to an overnight vacation tonight and every night on a waterbed from Sun Valley. You'll fall asleep faster, toss and turn less, and wake up refreshed, ready for action. Right now, get big savings on this two-tiered bookcase bed, just $199. The Accolade is only $279. Plus, register to win one of 9 dream vacations for 2 in Hawaii. Only at Sun Valley Waterbed.
We will be switching momentarily live to Chicago for the report on the Illinois primary from Pat Milan in just a moment. But in the meantime, more about Ken Keller. There's no doubt about it. Keller's presidency at the University of Minnesota has had its moments of controversy. And Catherine Smith put this story together for us, looking back at some of the bad times Keller had to weather.
Controversy is nothing new to Ken Keller. In fact, even his appointment as president of the university in 1985 was greeted by some as a mistake and prompted a lawsuit. A group of faculty and students charged the selection committee had overlooked other candidates. Keller took office and brought with him a restructuring program for the university called Commitment to Focus. It called for reducing undergraduate enrollment, phasing out some programs, and increasing emphasis on graduate programs and research work. But once again, Ken Keller found himself the topic of controversy as people argued whether Commitment to Focus would lead the university toward educational excellence or exclusivity. At the same time, the university and President Ken Keller were confronted with another controversial issue, whether or not the school should sell off stock holdings with companies doing business in South Africa. In late 1986, a scandal erupted with the university's athletic department. Several members of the university's basketball team were tried on rape charges, and there was a shakeup in the athletic department. Exactly 3 years ago today, Ken Keller was selected president of the University of Minnesota. He said then he had a vision for the university that would make it one of the best in the country. Now, the university's Board of Regents will have to find someone else to make that vision a reality. Catherine Smith, Channel 5 Eyewitness News at the University of Minnesota.
And, of course, we will have more on the effects of Keller's announcements tomorrow on the editions of Eyewitness News. U.S. Attorney General Edwin Meese says that despite pressure calling for his resignation, he's not going to resign. Meese is in the midst of some controversy regarding efforts to help this man, E. Robert Wallach, secure U.S. government backing for an oil pipeline from Iraq to Jordan. Appearing on ABC's This Week with David Brinkley, Meese denied that he knew that pipeline promoters put money into an investment account, an account that could benefit him, Meese.
At the time of my investing in that firm, I knew nothing about this money being paid.
Now, Meese's involvement with the proposed pipeline is now under criminal investigation. Tonight, a family in Richville, Minnesota, is mourning the loss of their 2 young children. 8-year-old Robert Rust and his 3-year-old sister Jenny died when a fire ripped through their home. The children had been staying with a babysitter at the time. The babysitter, 12-year-old Antoinette Wallace, also died in the fire. Investigators have not determined the cause of the fire. All the victims died of apparent smoke inhalation. And a tragic story at the Villa Sioux in Madison, Wisconsin. A polar bear. This bear was shot to death after an intruder climbed into its cage. The unidentified man was found lying underneath that bear. When efforts to coax the bear away from the man failed, the polar bear was shot. Police still don't know why the intruder entered the bear's den in the first place. Well, 2 avalanches proved to be deadly for 7 people in Austria, and that story leads our look around the world tonight. Early this morning it was, tons of snow ripped down a mountainside, crashing into this popular Austrian resort of St. Anton, burying sleeping guests inside. 7 people died, at least 20 were hurt. Austrians remembered the victims of Nazi war crimes, officially commemorating the 50th anniversary of its annexation into Nazi Germany. The ceremonies have gone on for 4 days. Israel's prime minister was sounding very flexible toward a Middle East peace plan as he left Israel for Washington today. Yitzhak Shamir will meet with Reagan this week to talk about the alternatives and whether Israel will have to give up part of its occupied territories. Talk about connecting territories, just look at the world's longest train tunnel. It opened today in Japan and it links the islands of Honshu and Hokkaido. 14 miles of it, folks, underwater, no less. When we come back here, Karen Falloon joins us with Monday's weather outlook, and a little bit later in the newscast, it may look like a strange sport, but these folks are some of the best in the country, and they are serious about their curling. Yes, sir.
All good things must end. In just a few days, the most incredible incentive program in automotive history, America's winners, will be over. Coon Rapids Chrysler Plymouth has gone even further with huge markdowns on LeBaron coupes for as little as $89.90 and Voyagers for only $10,880, both with automatic transmission and a lot more. The response has been tremendous. But listen, fresh shipments have arrived and the prices are better than ever. You can still make the buy of a lifetime if you hurry to Coon Rapids Chrysler Plymouth.
Through the years, the mothers of America have had a kind of medical training.
Next.
They've learned from countless doctors and pharmacists that the way to take care of a cough is with Robitussin. And now at home, the mothers of America are putting this advice to work.
Next.
Robitussin, recommended by Dr. Mom. Which Robitussin is right for you? Ask your doctor or pharmacist.
Ember's $1.99 jumbo breakfast. 2 farm-fresh eggs, 2 buttermilk pancakes, 2 country sausage links, and 2 strips of hardwood cured bacon, only $1.99. Ember's, big taste, small check.
There, yes, indeedy. There they were off and running in St. Paul today. 6,000 folks pounding the pavement in the annual St. Patrick's Day 5-mile race. The runners competed for a total of $10,000 in prize money. Most were there just for the fun of it, including this guy who thought he'd crossed the finish line, whoops, a little differently. Needless to say, he didn't come in first, but I think he will survive to run for another day. Good thing they weren't running, Friday night or early Saturday.
Oh, goodness.
Jolly good time. Huh? Say, I understand that somebody else in this country to the south of us is sharing in our return to winter a little bit, huh?
Our return to cold, that's right. This cold air finally made it all the way into the south central states, Texas, tonight under some freeze warnings. That's one of the headlines.
Okay.
We have freeze warnings that extend across Arkansas into Mississippi. Temperatures will be below that freezing mark. In fact, in a lot of spots into the teens and 20s tomorrow morning as our cold air up here and across the upper Midwest is finally funneled that far south. Snow squalls continue over the Great Lakes region and will for at least the next 24 to 36 hours. We're just on the edge of all of this activity. Now, on the south side or on the southern end of that system, there's been quite a bit of heavy rain in the Orlando area in just the last, say, 12 to 18 hours. They've had 2 1/4 inches, and the rainfall continues into the evening hours. Here in the Twin Cities area, we've had cloud cover and just a few snowflakes in the air. Our overnight forecast, light snow and flurries with lows 6 to 11 degrees. Waking up, we'll still have the flurries out there, a few breaks in the clouds, perhaps in 13 degrees. And tomorrow, another gray day, occasional flurries, and the temperatures will be a few degrees warmer than it was today, 19 to 24, but the winds will be out of the northwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Right now, we have some light snow and flurries across parts of the metro area. Too light to pick up on the radar, though. A temperature of 18, the dew point 9, the relative humidity 67%. Winds are still rather gusty, though, out of the north at 21 miles an hour, the pressure holding steady. The temperature hasn't fallen too much from the high today, which was 21 degrees. The low was 13 this morning, and we've had just a ½ inch of snowfall out at the Twin Cities International Airport. Well, now the cool air is settling into the north central states, that cool air plunging into the southeast. Still rather warm across the southeastern states, 70s and 80s, in fact the 80s, the warmest in the country. And in the desert southwest, warm air beginning to creep back into the Pacific Northwest with 50s and 60s. Now by tomorrow, it will still be rather warm in the southwest, sunshine prevailing across the southwest and into Texas and across the Gulf Coast. That's a change for them as they've been rather stormy the last couple of days. Here in the upper Midwest, this cold high pressure is going to sit right over the Dakotas over the next few days, not nudging any farther to the east and clearing us out. We're on the edge of the clouds here in east central Minnesota, including the metro area, and from those clouds an occasional flurry or two. Lake snows will continue across the northeast, and rather chilly temperatures, unseasonably cool temperatures to continue through the Ohio and Tennessee valleys combined. While northern Minnesota will have temperatures in the 20s tomorrow, variable clouds, and in the southern half of the state, we'll still see a few flurries, a few scattered snow showers, a few breaks in the clouds besides, and in the 20s tomorrow afternoon. Western Wisconsin, light snow and flurries in the forecast, and a bit cooler. Temperatures will be in the teens. Looking ahead over the next couple of days, we're back to sunny to partly cloudy beginning on Wednesday through Friday. In fact, slowly warming to near 40 degrees by Thursday afternoon. However, a cold front sweeping out of the north, bringing some more cold air, means that next weekend might be a little chilly. In fact, Friday afternoon highs only in the 20s.
It's the old roller coaster march again, right?
That's
warm
right.
up, cool off, warm up,
Yeah,
the cruelest month of all. Huh?
True.
Think we're out of it? We're not. Thank you, Karen. The search for a Wisconsin woman could come to an end tomorrow. That's one of the stories we'll be following on Minnesota's News Channel. Authorities plan to dig for the body of Helen Coons. She's been missing since 4 members of her family were murdered in Wausau in July. Also tomorrow, Lois Juergens will appeal her conviction to the Minnesota Court of Appeals. Last summer, she was found guilty in the beating death of her 3-year-old son, Dennis. His death occurred more than 20 years ago. And the mayor of Duluth is scheduled to make a court appearance on felony charges. The St. Louis County Attorney's Office is not saying exactly what those charges are. Watch for these stories and more tomorrow on Eyewitness News. Coming up in sports next, the field is set for the NCAA basketball tournament, and a special hockey player was honored tonight in St. Paul. We'll have those stories and more when Eyewitness News continues.
10 little Indians make a big mess. Rental cleaners, that's one way, I guess, but Regina's found an easier way to clean carpets with a hot water spray. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner. High traffic areas, keep them clean. It's easy when you own a machine. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner cleans whole rooms so deep, so fast, makes rental cleaners a thing of the past. For less than you ever thought you'd pay, clean your carpets the easy way. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner.
We're having a spring fling at Towsley Ford.
And Towsley Subaru. Everything's sale priced, including over $3 million worth of used cars.
Imports, domestics, virtually any kind of used car and truck.
The selection is tremendous. I counted over 1,500 new and used cars and trucks between our 2 stores.
New 88 Ford starting as low as $54.95.
And cash rebates up to $2,200.
Wherever you live in the Northland, it's worth a trip to our spring fling sale at Towsley Ford.
And Towsley Subaru, White Bear Lake.
Remember how great you felt when your car was new and beautiful? Boy, what a feeling. But how about now when your car is ugly? Better take a look at Maaco's famous half and half car and get in right now on Maaco's chain-wide half-price sale. You get a supreme paint job with new ultraviolet sunscreen coating for longer, better protection. Right, a better paint job at half the price. Here's how.
The Maaco Supreme Paint Job, regularly $499.95, now $250. Call the Connection 922-9000 for the Maaco nearest you.
Act now.
Well, we can put those little hockey pucks behind us for a while. The state tournament's over.
Yes, except for one, which is sort of not moving around very
I know which one you
in a
mean.
very sprightly fashion out at Met Center.
Let's
but,
talk round ball.
yeah, let's do that. 64 team stand for the 50th NCAA basketball tournament announced today, and half the teams in the Big Ten will be there. Purdue, ranked 2nd in the country, is the top seed in the Midwest Regional. At-large berths went to defending champion Indiana and to Illinois, Michigan, and Iowa. The Big East is the most represented conference in the tournament with 6 teams. The Atlantic Coast, Big 8, and Southeastern conferences joined the Big Ten with 5 teams apiece. Temple, Arizona, and Oklahoma joined Purdue as regional top seeds. Well, a lot of those tournament seeds depended on the outcomes of conference tournaments today. In the Big East Finals, Stephen Thompson scored 25 points, including 10 in a row, leading Syracuse to an 85-68 rout of Villanova and Raleigh-Massimino. In the Southeast Showdown, Kentucky staged a late comeback, headed by Rex Chapman's 23 points, helping the Wildcats to down the Georgia Bulldogs 62-57. And the Wildcats won a conference record 31st game in winning the Pac-10 today. Sean Elliott pumped in 20 points for Arizona as they ripped Oregon State 93-67. That score leads our scoreboard tonight. 4th-ranked Oklahoma was a winner. So was 6th-ranked Kentucky. 8th-ranked Duke squeaked by 9th-ranked North Carolina. And, of course, Syracuse was a winner over Villanova. They've named a Warroad High School player who just finished his involvement in the state tournament as Mr. Hockey of Minnesota for 1988. Larry Olam, a 4-year starter for the Warriors, is this year's recipient of that award. And this is Olam, number 19, scoring in Warroad's first tournament game this year against Duluth-Denfeld. Olam was chosen at a Mr. Hockey banquet tonight at the St. Paul Radisson Hotel. Other players considered for that award, all seniors, were his teammate Chad Erickson, Tom Peterson, and Jeff Satterdahl of Bloomington Jefferson, and Sean Hill of Duluth East. Olam had 84 goals and 99 assists in his 4-year career at Warroad, and he says he'll attend the University of Minnesota. National Hockey League action tonight. Pittsburgh was a winner. So was Washington, shutting Boston down. Quebec by 3 over Hartford. It was Detroit by 4 over the Islanders. In the third, Philadelphia leads Chicago, while Buffalo is starting up at Vancouver, as is St. Louis at Los Angeles. Tomorrow night, the North Stars entertain the Montreal Canadiens at Met Center. The Minnesota Twins lost their 3rd straight exhibition game today. This time, the Chicago White Sox doing the world champs in by a score of 3-2. The White Sox pitching staff had a perfect game until the 6th. Former Twin Roy Smalley had an RBI in helping the Sox to that win. Today is the 13th of March, and the Strikers were going for their 13th home victory in a row. You can see this coming, can't you? But Sunday the 13th turned out to be Friday the 13th for the Strikers. They lost to Wichita 8-7. The day started pretty well. Hector Marinero bounced one off the boards for the first of 2 David Byrne goals, and the Strikers led it 1-0. Later, the game tied at 1. Ray Hudson getting a rebound that rolls just under the goalie for a 2-1 Striker lead. But the Wings came flying back in the second half. Eric Rasmussen got his first MISL hat trick, including the game winner. The winning streak at home is stopped at 12 for the Strikers, but the good news is that Dallas lost to L.A., so the Strikers still have a 3-game lead in the Eastern Division. One other game in the league just getting underway. Kansas City's at Tacoma. In golf, Joey Sindlar revved up his game and captured the Honda Classic in Florida. Sindlar shot a 12-under par 276 for that tournament, and this birdie putt on the 10th gave him a 2-shot lead that he never gave up. Sindlar picked up a mere $126,000 for the win. Payne Stewart and Sandy Lyle and Ed Fiore all tied for second in that tournament.
A paltry 100,000.
Isn't that something? 126.
How are the Strikers drawing this season, Eddie?
Pretty well. Yeah. Better as they win, but they really tail off when they lose. If they'd have a 100% season, they'd be fine, but since they don't, and it's pretty difficult to do that, they're still scraping the bottom of that money barrel, and
a lot of people are wondering out loud
next year.
Yeah, whether they'll be around or not.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Eddie. Well, here's something. You may not know this, but one of the finest curling places in the country is right here in our own backyard. Coming up next, we'll take you to the St. Paul Curling Club as the United States Curling Championship is underway.
Is your mouth big enough for the new Super Taco from Taco Bell? Is it big enough for a bigger taco with more lettuce, more cheese, ground beef, and beans? Is your mouth big enough? Well, right now you can find out for only 99 cents. So what are you waiting for? Take a big step over to Taco Bell today and fill up with the new Super Taco. And hurry, it's a big deal, but only for a little time.
Hello, Taco Bell. Are you into feeling good? Then treat yourself to an overnight vacation tonight and every night on a waterbed from Sun Valley. You'll fall asleep faster, toss and turn less, and wake up refreshed, ready for action. Right now, get big savings on this 2-tiered bookcase bed, just $199. The Accolade is only $279. Plus, register to win one of 9 dream vacations for 2 in Hawaii. Only at Sun Valley Waterbed.
It's the biggest automotive sale of the year, and it's going on now in White Bear Lake. 13 volume dealerships together in one location for one huge sale. 25 different makes, 4,000 new cars, and almost 2,000 used cars. It's the White Bear Auto Dealers after the Auto Show Sale-a-thon. 2 solid miles of rebates, low interest financing, and 1-week-only dealer discounts. Highway 61 from Highway 36 to White Bear Lake. The White Bear Auto Dealers after the Auto Show Sale-a-thon. Don't miss it.
Here's something to ponder. One of the next events added to the Winter Olympics could be the sport of curling. Curling was one of the exhibition events last month in Calgary. The sport is growing in popularity, and Dave Andrews reports tonight the best curlers in the United States are competing this week right here in these Twin Cities.
All eyes will be on the 42-pound curling stones this week at the St. Paul Curling Club. 12 four-man teams from 12 different states are competing in the 1988 U.S. Curling Championships. The St. Paul Curling Club is perhaps the finest curling facility in the country. And members say their numbers are growing steadily as the ancient Scottish sport is seeing a resurgence in popularity.
Well, it's growing really great because people, for example, at work, they talk about it and they invite other people to come down and watch it, and they kind of just catch on with it.
Great shot. Club members and friends filled the stands today to watch the championship-level curlers in action. But there were also some newcomers to the sport, trying to understand the tactics and strategy of this game on ice in which you don't wear skates.
I'll be more interested than ever now. I'll be watching it whenever I can. I wouldn't mind getting out and trying it sometime. It looks like a fun sport.
The winner of this week-long tournament will be crowned national champion for 1988. And that team will earn the right to head to Lausanne, Switzerland in April to represent the United States in the World Curling Championships. In St. Paul, I'm Dave Andrews, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Now, you see, Karen, what the rink and the skip want to do there is get the stone in the middle of the house. Is that it? You don't know. I don't know.
My mother would have a fit if I brought stones into the house.
With apologies to my Canadian relatives. Okay, I really don't understand it either. It's cricket to me, gang. All right.
Well, we'll all learn this week. Okay. All right. We have mostly cloudy skies, occasional light snow or flurries tonight. A low around 8 degrees. Tomorrow, much the same as today. Only temperatures will be a few degrees warmer, and by Thursday we should have some sunshine and back to around 40 degrees.
Jolly good. That sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, Karen. Just a recap for you tonight, tonight's top story in case you joined us late. University of Minnesota President Ken Keller has announced that he is stepping down. He's resigning as president of the U of M. The announcement comes on the heels of recent controversy concerning cost overruns at East Cliff, that's the official presidential residence, and in other university areas. Keller says he hopes that the university will be able to continue his commitment to focus program he's worked so hard to develop. We'll have much more on this story for you tomorrow on Eyewitness News. Well, also, we wanted to tell you that our forecast report tonight, our live satellite report from Pat Milan on the Illinois primary scheduled for Tuesday, fell victim to those technical gremlins high in the sky somewhere. But Pat, of course, is down there. He'll be giving us reports on tomorrow's editions of Eyewitness News and, of course, on the big primary day in Illinois, or Illinois, as some people say. So we'll have that all for you.